when your kids are too busy, how not to feel abandoned. It's a tough place to be, isn't it? That feeling of waiting for something, anything, from the people you love, but it never seems to come. Your kids are busy with their own lives, and while you understand, that doesn't make the loneliness any easier. It's not just about missing visits or phone calls, it's the deeper feeling that maybe, just maybe, you've been forgotten. But here's the thing I want you to understand, you haven't been forgotten. Life is just moving in its natural course. But that doesn't mean you should sit on the sidelines waiting for it to come back to you. There's a tendency as we get older to fall into the trap of feeling like we don't matter as much anymore. Maybe your children are busy with their jobs, their families, and their responsibilities, and you're left with the quiet that comes when the house isn't filled with activity. It's easy to wonder, do I still matter to them? Am I just a memory to be tucked away? But let's take a step back. Let's look at this from a different angle. Feeling like you don't matter, or like you're invisible, is a tough pill to swallow. But this isn't the end of the story. In fact, it's just the beginning of a new chapter, one where you reclaim your sense of worth and take charge of your own happiness, regardless of what's happening around you. You see, the key is in embracing your own worth. When you look at your life, don't just focus on what's missing. Instead, look at all the incredible things that make you who you are, your experiences, your wisdom, the love you've given and received over the years. The quiet moments can become something meaningful, a time to explore what brings you joy, rather than focusing on what you feel you've lost. Let's talk about staying engaged. It's easy to think that when your kids don't have time for you, or when the phone stays quiet, that means you're somehow disconnected from the world. But staying engaged doesn't mean waiting for others to engage with you. It's about you finding ways to engage with life on your own terms, in ways that are fulfilling, meaningful, and uniquely yours. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but it's hard. It's hard when you're used to someone else being there. And I hear you. There are moments when the silence feels louder than anything else. But what if you could take those moments and use them to your advantage? What if those quiet times could become opportunities for growth, for finding new hobbies, new passions, new connections? Take a step toward doing something that's just for you. It could be something you've always wanted to do, but never had the time for. Maybe you've always wanted to paint, or learn how to play the guitar. Perhaps there's a book you've been meaning to read, or a subject you've been curious about. The possibilities are endless, and the beauty is that you can explore them at your own pace, without pressure. Finding your own rhythm, your own joy, isn't about ignoring the reality that you miss your kids or that you wish they could visit more often. It's about creating a space for yourself where your happiness isn't dependent on anyone else's availability. When you invest in yourself and your passions, you start to see the world differently. You begin to realize that you have so much to offer, even if it's just to yourself for now. So, embrace your worth. You are not just a parent or grandparent. You are a person with so much to give, so much to share, and so much to experience. You matter, not just to your family, but to the world around you. And the more you embrace that, the more you'll start to find joy and fulfillment, even on the days when the house is quiet and the phone doesn't ring. The important part is taking that first step, the step toward your own happiness. It might be small at first, just a little adjustment here or there, but over time, you'll see how much difference it can make. Life doesn't have to be defined by the pace of others. You can set your own rhythm and find meaning in every moment, whether it's spent in solitude or surrounded by new friends and experiences. And above all, you'll start to feel that sense of connection again, not just with others, but with yourself. Loneliness isn't just about feeling alone, It's about how that loneliness affects every part of you physically, mentally, and emotionally. It can creep up on you, leaving you thinking it's just a natural part of getting older, something that comes with the territory. But what I want you to understand is that loneliness can really take a toll on your health, and it's not something we should just shrug off as normal. Let's talk about the science behind it. When we feel lonely, it triggers a stress response in our bodies. You know that feeling of tightness in your chest or the constant feeling of being on edge? That's your body releasing stress hormones like cortisol. And when those hormones are circulating constantly, they can lead to inflammation, which is a known contributor to a lot of chronic diseases, things like heart disease, high blood pressure, and even diabetes. It's not just about the mental toll of loneliness, it's literally affecting your physical health. But that's not all. Your immune system takes a hit when you're lonely, too. When you're isolated, your body has a harder time fighting off infections. Think about it like this: when you don't have people around you to share things with, whether it's a hug or a conversation, your body starts to feel that emotional absence physically, too. And that's why loneliness can leave you feeling tired, run down, and more susceptible to illness. Then, there's the impact on your brain. Chronic loneliness has been linked to cognitive decline, and that's something we really need to pay attention to. Studies have shown that people who are socially isolated are at a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. It's like a snowball effect. As loneliness deepens, it starts to affect the way your brain functions. You might notice memory loss, difficulty concentrating, or just a sense of mental fog that doesn't seem to go away. This isn't just getting older, this is a direct result of social isolation. Now, I know this might sound a little overwhelming, but here's the thing: we can do something about it. The fact that loneliness can harm us physically and mentally doesn't mean we're stuck in that cycle. If anything, it shows us just how important it is to stay connected, to keep reaching out, and to engage with others in meaningful ways. The science shows us that even small changes can have a big impact. Take Eleanor, for example. She's a 78-year-old widow who lived alone for years after her children moved across the country. Over time, she found herself withdrawing more and more. The phone calls became fewer, the visits rarer, and the loneliness settled in. She didn't realize that the fatigue and frequent headaches she was experiencing were linked to the isolation she was going through. It wasn't until she joined a local senior center and reconnected with old friends that she started feeling better physically and emotionally. Her energy levels went up, and the headaches, they started to fade away. That's the power of human connection. Eleanor didn't need to make huge changes, she just needed to step out of her isolation, even in small ways. And you can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be all at once, just taking one small step, like reaching out to an old friend or joining a group activity, can start to shift things in a positive direction. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a health issue. But by understanding its impact and making a conscious effort to engage, we can prevent it from taking over. So, the next time you're feeling a bit disconnected, remember, it's not just in your head. It's in your body, too. And that means we've got the power to do something about it, one step at a time. It's tough, isn't it? Watching your children grow up, get busy with their own lives, and find their own paths. It's natural for them to have their own families, jobs, and responsibilities, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sting when it feels like you're being left behind. Sometimes, when the phone doesn't ring or the visits become less frequent, it can make you feel like you've been forgotten or that you don't matter as much as you used to. I've heard this from so many people, and I completely understand why it can be hard. Many older adults have shared with me, I know they have their own lives, but why does it feel like I'm not needed anymore? It's a feeling that can catch you off guard, and you start to wonder, am I really that insignificant now? The truth is, these feelings are more common than you might think. The sense of being abandoned or forgotten is often tied to the natural course of life. Your kids are building their lives, and it's not about you at all. But it's still hard not to feel that pang of loneliness when you wished things could be different. The thing is, it's easy to misinterpret their busyness as neglect. We see them stretched thin with work, their own families, their commitments, and we begin to feel like an afterthought. But in reality, they might not realize how much their absence affects you emotionally. They might be so caught up in their own challenges that they forget to check in or make time to visit. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they are overwhelmed in their own way, dealing with their own pressures and responsibilities. And I get it, it's still painful. It's hard not to feel like you're somehow less important when your children's lives are full and yours feels like it's in a holding pattern. But here's something really important to remember. Your worth isn't tied to how often they call or visit. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you've spent so many years being a central part of their lives. But the truth is, your emotional well-being has to come from within, and it can't depend solely on the actions or availability of your children. Yes, it's wonderful when they check in, when they make time for you, but you are enough just as you are. Your worth isn't defined by the frequency of phone calls or the number of visits you get. When you start to see yourself as valuable beyond what others can provide, that's when things begin to shift. Your sense of self doesn't have to be tied to how often your children show up. The key here is creating a diverse support system for yourself. You don't need to rely on just one group of people to fill all your emotional needs. It's about finding joy and connection in other places too, whether that's through old friends, community activities, or even volunteering. There's a whole world out there full of opportunities to meet new people and form meaningful relationships that can help lift you up. And let's not forget, as your kids move on and start their own families, they are not necessarily pulling away from you. They are just shifting their focus. It doesn't mean they love you any less or that you're no longer important to them. It's just a sign of the changing seasons in both your lives. You'll always be a part of their story, just as they'll always be a part of yours. But you have to remember that your worth stands independently of what others do. You are more than just the role you play in their lives. You are a whole, unique person, with your own worth, talents, and contributions to the world. And that's something no one can take away from you. So, take a deep breath, remind yourself of your value, and begin to build the support network you need to feel fulfilled and connected. The more you do this, the less you'll feel abandoned, and the more you'll find joy in your own journey. You're not alone in this, and your worth will always shine through, no matter the distance. Building emotional resilience and independence is one of the most powerful things you can do for your well-being. It's not about pretending the loneliness doesn't hurt or ignoring the feelings of abandonment that can creep in when your kids are too busy with their own lives. Rather, it's about finding ways to fill your own cup and build a sense of inner strength, so that no matter what, you can still find joy, meaning, and connection, even if things look a little different than they once did. Let's break down some practical steps you can take to build that emotional resilience and start feeling more in control of your happiness. 1. Rediscover your passions. Have you ever noticed how, when you're engaged in something you truly love, time just seems to disappear? Whether it's painting, reading, knitting, gardening, or whatever it is that sparks joy for you, now might be the perfect time to revisit those hobbies. They are not just things to do to pass the time, they are ways for you to reconnect with yourself. Hobbies offer a sense of purpose and fulfillment that doesn't depend on anyone else but you. When you're in the zone, doing something you enjoy, you might find that you feel more at peace with yourself. The act of creating or simply losing yourself in something you love can remind you of the joy that's always within reach. Take a moment to think about the activities you used to love doing, but maybe put aside over the years. Is there something that you've always wanted to try but never had the time for? Now's your chance to dive in. Rediscovering a passion not only helps pass the time but helps you find meaning and satisfaction from within. To join new communities, if loneliness is creeping in, one of the best ways to combat it is by actively seeking out new opportunities for connection. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't need to completely transform your social life overnight sometimes, it's just about getting involved in a small way. Local groups, hobby clubs, fitness classes, or even volunteer organizations can be a great way to meet people who share your interests. When you join a group, you're not just passing the time, you're adding structure and connection to your days. Being part of a community that shares your passions can help fill the emotional gaps that loneliness can create. It opens up doors to friendships and relationships that can be incredibly supportive, especially when life feels quieter. Whether it's a knitting circle, a book club, or even a gardening group, you're creating a sense of belonging, and that makes a world of difference in how connected and fulfilled you feel. 3. Embrace technology to stay connected. Okay, I know the idea of technology can feel a little intimidating. Maybe it's something you've never used much, and the thought of learning new tools can seem like a hassle. But trust me when I say that modern technology has so much potential to keep you connected with your loved ones, even from a distance. Things like video calls or texting don't replace the feeling of a physical hug, but they can help bridge the gap and keep those important relationships alive. It might take a little time to get comfortable with things like FaceTime, Skype, or Zoom, but once you do, you'll wonder why you didn't start earlier. I've seen it happen time and again. Take Linda, for example. She wasn't super tech savvy, but after feeling disconnected from her grandkids, she decided to give FaceTime a try. At first, it felt awkward and a bit frustrating, but she persisted. Soon enough, she was chatting with her grandkids a few times a week, seeing their smiles, hearing about their day-to-day lives. It wasn't quite the same as having them over for a visit, but it was enough to make her feel that connection again. Technology opened up a new way for Linda to stay involved in her grandkids' lives, and it gave her something to look forward to each week. It's not about being perfect with technology or trying to compete with younger generations. It's about finding a tool that works for you to keep that emotional connection alive, no matter the distance. And once you see how easy it is to stay connected through something as simple as a video call or a text message, you'll feel more empowered and less isolated. These steps are just the beginning of building your emotional independence. It's about taking charge of your happiness and finding ways to feel strong and fulfilled, even when life's circumstances shift. Reconnecting with old passions, joining new communities, and embracing technology to stay close to those you love can transform your experience of loneliness into an opportunity for growth and connection. It's not always easy, but with small steps, you can begin to build a life that feels rich with meaning, no matter where your kids are or how busy they may become. Loneliness can feel like a weight on your shoulders, like an emotional mountain you just can't seem to climb. It's easy to feel like you need someone else to help you carry it, or that you can't move forward until the circumstances change. But here's the truth, you have the ability to climb that mountain on your own. It's all about developing inner strength and emotional resilience, and I promise you, it's possible. You don't have to rely on other people or external factors to feel whole. It's about shifting your perspective, building your emotional muscles, and finding ways to stand strong in the face of loneliness. You might be surprised at how much strength you have within you. One of the most powerful tools you can use to cultivate this resilience is mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about staying present in the moment, focusing on what's here and now, instead of getting lost in what's missing or what could have been. When you're feeling lonely, It's easy to spiral into negative thinking, focusing on the absence of loved ones, the quiet of an empty house, or the things you feel you're missing out on. But mindfulness can help you break that cycle. By focusing on the present, you can begin to appreciate the small joys that are all around you. It's about learning to find peace in the moment, no matter what's going on in your life. Another practice that goes hand in hand with mindfulness is gratitude. When loneliness starts to weigh heavily on your heart, it can feel like there's nothing to be grateful for. But let me assure you, there is always something, even in the hardest moments. Gratitude is a simple yet powerful tool that can shift your entire mindset. Each morning, try to write down 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe it's the warmth of a cup of coffee, the sound of birds singing outside your window, or the beauty of the sunrise. Over time, this practice can help you see the world through a new lens, where you start to notice what you have instead of what you're missing. James, a 70-year-old retiree, is a great example of how powerful gratitude can be. For a long time, he struggled with feelings of abandonment. His kids had their own lives, and visits became fewer and farther between. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being left behind, that he wasn't needed anymore. But one day, he decided to start a gratitude journal. He wasn't expecting miracles, he just wanted to try something to shift his mindset. Slowly, he began to appreciate the little things, the birds that greeted him each morning, the flowers in his garden that bloomed year after year, the old friends he reconnected with over coffee. And it wasn't just about the things themselves, it was about the way they made him feel. Each simple moment filled him with a sense of connection to his life, and before long, he noticed a shift. He no longer felt like he was waiting for someone else to make him feel valued. He began to feel more fulfilled and content with what he had in the present. What James discovered is something we can all learn from. Emotional resilience doesn't come from avoiding loneliness or pretending it doesn't exist. It comes from facing it head on, acknowledging it, and then finding ways to build strength from within. It's about shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. It's about finding joy in the smallest moments and learning to appreciate the life you're living, right here, right now. As you work on building this resilience, remember that it's okay to feel lonely. You don't have to suppress those feelings or pretend they don't exist. What matters is how you respond to them. Mindfulness and gratitude are just the beginning. Over time, as you practice these techniques, you'll find that you're more equipped to handle life's emotional ups and downs. And with each day, you'll feel stronger, more empowered, and more connected to the life that's unfolding in front of you. Loneliness may still visit from time to time, but it doesn't have to define you. You have everything you need within you to stand strong, no matter what life throws your way. Staying active physically and mentally is one of the most powerful ways to feel in control of your life as you get older. And no, this isn't about running marathons or hitting the gym for 2 hours a day. It's about staying engaged with your body and your mind, in ways that feel good and sustainable for you. Let's start with physical activity. A lot of folks think, I'm too old to start exercising now, or, my joints hurt, I can't do what I used to. And you know what? That's okay. No one's expecting you to bounce around like a teenager. But here's the thing, movement, even gentle movement, is medicine for your body and your mind. You don't need fancy equipment or a gym membership. A simple 20-minute walk around the block, a few stretches while listening to music, or some light chair yoga can do wonders. The goal isn't to push yourself to exhaustion, the goal is to keep moving, keep the blood flowing, and keep those muscles working just enough so that you feel alive in your own body. When we move, our bodies release endorphins, those natural feel-good chemicals. think of them like your brain's built-in cheerleaders. They help lift your mood, ease anxiety, and even help you sleep better at night. And here's something else you might not know. Regular movement helps fight inflammation, which plays a role in everything from arthritis to heart disease. So, by simply staying active, you're protecting your health in so many ways. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin, mental engagement. Because staying physically healthy is only half the battle. Our minds need exercise too. And just like your muscles, if you stop using it, you start to lose it. Keeping your mind sharp doesn't mean you need to study calculus or memorize Shakespeare, unless that sounds fun to you, of course. It's about staying curious. Read books that spark your interest, work on crossword puzzles or Sudoku, take a free online class, or join a local discussion group. Even watching documentaries or learning a few words of a new language can wake up parts of your brain that have been snoozing. And here's the beauty of mental engagement: it often leads to connection. You join a book club, and suddenly you're talking to new people. You take a community class, and you find yourself laughing with a stranger. Little by little, those moments stack up, and before you know it, your world feels just a bit bigger and a lot more vibrant. One woman I spoke to, her name was Carol, told me that after her husband passed, she started feeling like her days were just blending together. I needed something to look forward to, she said. So she signed up for a watercolor class at her local senior center. She'd never painted in her life. But after a few weeks, not only was she enjoying herself, she had a whole new group of friends, people she'd never have met otherwise. I'm not just surviving anymore, she told me. I'm living again. That's what staying active both in body and mind can do. It brings color back into your life. It creates momentum. And the best part? You're in control of it. You don't have to wait for someone to invite you or for the perfect moment to begin. You can take that first step today, even if it's just a short walk, or picking up that book you've been meaning to read. Because when you stay engaged, you're not just warding off loneliness, you're reclaiming your independence, your joy, and your right to live a full, meaningful life on your own terms. You know, life doesn't always unfold the way we imagined. Sometimes our children are too busy, sometimes the house feels too quiet, and sometimes we find ourselves wondering, is this all there is? But let me say this, from the bottom of my heart, it doesn't have to stay that way. Just because one season of life is changing doesn't mean joy, purpose, and connection are out of reach. In fact, this chapter, your chapter, might just be the one where you surprise yourself the most. You've got more power than you think. Every time you take a walk, try something new, make a phone call, or even smile at someone in the grocery store, you're reclaiming a piece of your independence. Every little action adds up. And every moment you choose to engage instead of withdraw, you're telling the world, and yourself, I'm still here. I still matter. I still have something to offer. Let me be honest with you, loneliness can knock the wind out of anyone. It's a quiet ache that can sneak in when no one's looking. But it doesn't define you. You are not just someone's parent or spouse or neighbor. You are a full person, deserving of joy, love, laughter, and peace, all on your own terms. So if you've been waiting for a sign to take that first step, let this be it. Call a friend. Sign up for that class. Start the journal. Try a new recipe, or go for a morning walk. Wave at the neighbor. Learn how to use FaceTime or Zoom. Reach out to someone else who might also be feeling alone. Because when you take that small, brave step, you're not just healing yourself, you're lighting the way for someone else too. And if this message touched your heart today, maybe think about sharing it with someone who needs it. Maybe it's a friend who's going through a quiet season, or a neighbor who's been keeping to themselves. Let's build a community where no one feels forgotten, where aging means growing stronger in new and unexpected ways. If you found this video helpful or comforting, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like more honest, supportive conversations like this. And don't forget to share it with someone you care about. You are not alone. You never were. And your best days? They are still ahead of you.